Hello and welcome to Homescreen. I'm Joe Colchester, Product Manager here at 11FS Pulse. Pulse is our collection of over 4,000 banking and fintech user journeys from all over the world. So head over to pulse.11fs.com to request a free demo and see how others are solving their UX challenges. In today's episode of Homescreen, we're joined by 𝗛cije𝗺𝗲𝗲𝗲𝗲𝗲, Lead Product Manager at Shopify, to talk about Shopify Capital and how it's helping merchants grow their business. How's it going, Richard?
It's good. How are you today?
Very well, thanks. We've got a holiday tomorrow, so we're all very excited. Whereabouts are you calling from?
I'm calling from Seattle in Washington State in the US, but originally from the UK.
Okay, great. Well, it's really exciting to have you on the show. We've been wanting to get Shopify on for a while. Could you just talk us a little bit about what Shopify do, and specifically where Shopify Capital fit into that?
Yeah, so I think about Shopify. Our key mission is to really try and democratize entrepreneurship, so people can start thriving, have independent businesses, and really make the whole concept of commerce better for everyone out there. And when I think Shopify Capital really fits into this, it's kind of like the rocket fuel that entrepreneurs need to grow their business. So it's not something that like inventory you need to buy in, but if you add capital into the mix, things go a lot faster. So, in Shopify Capital, we're able to give money to merchants in the US, UK, Canada. I think we're up to 1.7 billion in funding to date. And merchants use this to hire more staff, increase inventory, marketing, all the things you use to really run a business.
Right. And how have you seen that that customer base change over the past year?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? So we, as everyone knows, COVID happened. There's a pandemic. There's a huge lockdown, and what that really did for at least e-commerce and the digital sector kind of jumped 10 years into the future. A lot of businesses that were maybe thinking about going online kind of took the leap. People who are already online have doubled down onto it. People who thought actually I'm never going to do e-commerce ever actually decided to pivot and take that strategy. And I think what we did with Shopify Capital during this time, we realized that more than ever, merchants and entrepreneurs needed funding to help grow their business. So we rapidly expanded into the UK and Canada. We really, lent in to our lending program to try and get as much money out there as possible to merchants. Thinking about last year in particular, one of the things that really sticks in my mind is like the individual stories of merchants. I just mentioned them in Washington. There's a store in Tacoma who sell jewelry, and they decided to pivot away from their brick and mortar store, and they couldn't get a PPP loan. They just didn't qualify at the time. So they lent in and decided to use Shopify Capital instead, and it's kind of those sorts of stories that really make this worthwhile.
Right. Well, it's incredible to see you guys involved in that process of allowing businesses to suddenly pivot, as you say. Suddenly they don't have a storefront and they need to dramatically shift to e-commerce, and the way that Shopify Capital can accelerate that process and facilitate it has really made the news. So credit to you guys for doing that. What's Shopify Capital doing differently here that the other banks couldn't do?
Yeah, as I think for us, we have this relationship with entrepreneurs on the Shopify platform. Instead of having folks enter in really long credit application process, we're looking at their business today and saying, off you go. There's no kind of lengthy process. We're really just trying to lean in and help these businesses grow.
Sure. And how are you able to facilitate that quick process where banks and others can't?
Yeah, so with merchants being on Shopify, a lot of information is in the back office. So when we come to sizing credit and all that, there's lots of factors that go into it. Sales being one, but also a whole bunch of other things. That information is readily available. If I'm going to a bank, like I'm walking off the street, that bank doesn't have that long-term relationship with me as an entrepreneur, and therefore they're unable to size the credit. I also think with Shopify we try to focus our underwriting on folks that maybe wouldn't get served by banks at all. Like if I go to a bank, typically they're asking for 3 years worth of tax statements and all those sorts of things. We're really just focused on, hey, how's the business doing? Off we go.
Okay, great. And actually, that touches on my next question, which is your target audience. So I suppose it's those who are kind of underserved by the banks or can't go through that same process. And who else would you consider in your target audience?
Yeah, so I think if the more entrepreneurs I can help, the better, right? That being said, a lot of the merchants and entrepreneurs that we work with are those who aren't served by banks, and there's a whole gambit of different types of businesses in there. Like the one that people tend to immediately go to is like, yes, there's these early stage businesses that maybe don't have a whole lot of history. They include in our bucket. But also banks underserve larger businesses as well, whether it's due to their processes aren't as quick as they'd like, or they don't fully understand these businesses. So really, there's a whole gambit from the very very small through to like the very large multi-million dollar businesses as well, who are all not being served as well as banks as those entrepreneurs would like.
Okay, great. And in terms of your competition, it might differ slightly to how Shopify's competition looks more broadly, but within Shopify Capital in particular, what do you see as being your competition?
Yeah, I don't worry too much about competition. I try to remain kind of merchant focused rather than competitor focused. But I think the more competitors out there, the better, right? There's over the past probably decade or so, there's been a real increase in the number of alternate lenders in this space, and I think the more options entrepreneurs have, and the better service these entrepreneurs are getting, the better, really. So I'm all for it. The more competitors, the better.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned there your expansion into the UK and Canada. Was that already very much in the pipeline, or was that accelerated by the events of the last year?
Yeah, it was certainly accelerated. It was on the roadmap. It was like, yes, this is something we want to do. But as we saw the events of last year unfold, I think me and everyone else on the team really felt an urge to lean in and like, how can we expand the number of businesses that we can serve, and geographic expansion was one way we could do that. Our underwriting process was another, but around this time last year, I have very vivid memories of like, hey, how do we expand? How do we get the most money to the most people as quickly as possible? And that was really what we were really focused on.
Yeah. Well, it's really remarkable the amount that has gone out, and how have people responded to the product? Has it been a good response? Certainly, those examples that you gave earlier, that one merchant, but generally, has the feedback been good?
Yeah, overall, feedback has been very strong. The interesting thing about Shopify Capital is often, you might go to a bank once and kind of take a loan and pay it back and never go back again. With Shopify Capital, we have this kind of long-term relationship. So another merchant we've been working with for years is a company called 𝗛𝗺𝗀𝗀𝗲𝗀𝗲𝗀𝗀, which now multi-million-dollar apparel business. But they have worked with Shopify Capital for years at this point, and just keep on coming back. So at least for 𝗛𝗺𝗀𝗀𝗲𝗀𝗲𝗀𝗀 and lots of other entrepreneurs, it feels like we're doing the right thing.
For sure. Okay, great. So what we're going to do now is just jump into one of the user journeys. So here we are on the kind of Shopify dashboard, just having a quick look through the what funding we're now eligible for. So that's being surfaced by Shopify Capital. And that as that loads up, we can see 3 different options there. Request 10,000 as the first one, 20, and then 22. One of those being recommended. We can also immediately talk to a specialist should we choose. We can quickly review and accept the terms. And immediately that user is being reviewed and the funding request is underway. And we can also see when that deposit date is due. So that was an incredibly quick process to do with 3 options there. Can you talk us through why those 3 options were surfaced? Is that the same for every user, or is that something that's always different based on the data?
Yeah, so the pre-qualification offers kind of vary by merchant, include a whole bunch of different factors, including historical sales, sale trends, store performance, all that sort of stuff. The idea, I think, with the three boxes there is that we make it as easy as possible for folks to choose the offer that's most likely to be useful for them. So we're trying to go for, hey, what is the offer size that most merchants like this would like most of the time? Comparison when you're
Sure.
going through a traditional application form, there's we have to figure out the exact amount, and then you kind of go back and forth and do a whole bunch of math. We try to offer useful recommendations so people can choose the size that's ideally right for them.
Right. So presumably there must have been a fair amount of research that's kind of gone into not only what different offers you provide, but also the kind of the rate of return, the qualification process. Can you just talk us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we do have a really great data science team. So a good shout out to them. And there's like you said, lots of veins of different research. So obviously research into credit risk and credit losses. Research into looking at sales trends, like you said. Research into the impact capital has on these businesses, because ultimately we want merchants to grow. So yeah, that all happens, and yeah, it's something we think about every single day.
For sure. In terms of, we saw at the end, the reviewing process is now underway. What's actually going on behind the scenes there?
Yeah, so it varies a little bit depending on the applicant. So there are some things get approved very quickly, almost instantaneously. Sometimes there's reasons for us to go back to a business and say, hey, can you give us a bit more information on this or that or the other. But essentially what we're trying to do is make the process as simple, as clear, and as quick as possible. So merchants can get the money they need to grow their business and can focus on the very demanding task of actually running a business rather than focusing on dealing with capital and lending folks, which is not their main job.
Absolutely. So just to dive into it a bit more, so those different offers are presented based on the kind of pre-qualification measurement. So this person passes, therefore that we're going to offer them these loans. And then should they then choose one, there's kind of further analysis as to whether they really do qualify for it.
Yeah, so the vast majority of people get the pre-qualification offer, get the same amount they apply for. That being said, it's not 100%. Things can change between when you send out the pre-qualification offer and when someone applies. So yeah, there is a minority of times where we need to go back and get some more information, or maybe tweak an offer. But generally, we view that pre-qualification probably far more seriously than your average bank or other lender, and try to give entrepreneurs that amount whenever possible.
For sure. And am I right in saying that this doesn't include any kind of credit score? it's purely just the information that you have already on these users and companies?
Yeah, absolutely. We use our own proprietary system to assess each store's performance and provide offers based on that. I think credit scores aren't particularly useful in business lending for a whole host of reasons. They're super black boxy. They don't have very good scores for new businesses, especially. There's some research out there around the impact that these credit scores have on different groups of folks. So yeah, it's not for us. We rely on our proprietary system.
Now that I think you mentioned almost 2 billion has gone out. What have been the kind of success stories or the success metrics that you've seen off the back of Shopify Capital?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I mentioned before, the things that really stick in my mind are the individual stories of these merchants. So I mentioned Manic Mermaid over in Tacoma making the pivot to e-commerce. We talked about Cut Clothing, who had this really long-term relationship with. And was growing, year over year for many years, and Shopify Capital was lucky to play a very small part of that. The other one that kind of sticks in my mind is House in California, who are a farm to bottle spirits brand, and over the past year or so, they've seen an impressive 500% increase, and this pandemic caused a lot of changes in consumer behavior, and they really used Shopify Capital to double down on that, and acted fast to grow their business. So I've seen lots of these individual super impressive stories about these entrepreneurs with huge amounts of tenacity and grit, doing incredible things.
Nice. That's great to hear. And in terms of the kind of product development and the research that's gone into it, it's been a huge success story and continues to be so. But are there any learnings that you'd like to mention, or things you may have done differently when you started out?
Yeah, I think there's learning every day, and one of the great things about working with entrepreneurs is that they are incredibly ambitious, always unsatisfied with the way things are today. They're looking to improve. So what we're really trying to do is get as much money out there to merchants as easily as possible in a transparent way. And as you saw from our product demo, we tried to make it super quick, but there are things that could be improved upon. We can get faster. We can serve more people. Hopefully our ambition will match that of the people we serve, and we can help them on their way.
Great. And in terms of your roadmap and what the future looks like, could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, our roadmap is super simple. Like, we want to provide Shopify Capital to as many businesses who need it. At the very beginning of this conversation, we talked a little bit about the gaps that the current banking and financial system has, particularly for small businesses and entrepreneurs. So we just want to make sure that the money flows, the people who need it get it, and they have the ability to meet their business goals.
Okay, I see. And is that down to marketing as well as product development, or is that more just facilitating the kind of the back end work that goes into allowing this money to be processed and delivered to people?
Yeah, I think it's all parts of a business, right? So I think about a lending business top to bottom. There's the marketing, but also education as well. I think in the financial sector, we have a bad habit of using acronyms and terms that people just don't understand. Even I have a hard time understanding a lot of the time. So there's kind of work to do on the marketing, education, and transparency of financial products as a whole. There's the product piece. So such as like launching in UK and Canada, like we did last year, making our process easier. And then there's the kind of behind the scenes bit, like improving underwriting, making sure the research is going on, which your businesses get the amounts they need.
Yeah. I can definitely relate to that overload of acronyms, something we deal with daily here. In terms of other countries, can you tell us anything about that? Whether you're considering or looking to expand to other countries?
Yeah, my ambition is, I said, to match the ambition of our merchants and go all the places they are. Hopefully I'll have something more detailed to share soon. But yeah, the entrepreneurs all over the world. We want to make commerce better for everyone. So yeah, lots of work for me and the team to work on.
Great. We're really excited to talk to you about it, and it's just really exciting to see the recent growth, and how many people it's helped. Really, it's really been a way for them to not go through that standard route. By the time that they get the money from the bank, they've already their cash flow problems have already been too much, so they've been overwhelmed. So there's been just so many success stories off the back of Shopify Capital. So we're big fans here.
Thank you for having me, and it's been great to chat, and would love to chat again sometime.
Yeah, no worries at all. It's been a real pleasure talking. Is there any way that people can kind of follow you on social media anywhere?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. So yeah, I'm the only Richard Shaw at Shopify. Should be fairly easy to find. But yeah, it's probably the best place.
Nice. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you. So thanks for watching today's show. Before we finish the show, we've got our Pulse Pick of the Week, which goes to Wise's card management journey. Wise, formerly TransferWise, do a great job in this area, whether it's the control, the amount of features available, the great UX, or just those awesome animations. Wise have a great card management section, so credit to you guys. If you want to see more journeys like these, head over to pulse.11fs.com to find out more and catch up on all these Homescreen journeys and episodes.